The thing is, I wouldn't really recommend sending in such a frequency, only every 2 months, 4 times a year, because then you cannot build a good sender reputation, and that might affect your deliverability negatively. So I would aim for at least sending once a month so you can establish a good sender reputation.
Welcome to the Agents of Change, the podcast experience you've been waiting for your entire marketing career. Search, social, mobile, AI, blockchain, and neuromarketing. These are the Agents of Change, and so are you. Digital marketing success awaits, and your transformation begins now.
Welcome to another episode of the Agents of Change podcast, the podcast that helps you reach and engage more of your ideal customers online. And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. My name is Rich Brooks. I'm your host. This is episode 581, powered by Flight New Media. Because sometimes, doing it yourself only gets you so far. If your business could use an extra brain or an extra pair of hands or a full team on SEO, paid ads, social media ads, web design, branding, Flight is here to help. We've been doing this since 1997, since before Google. Just go ahead and visit the contact form at theagentsofchange.com or takeflight.com, or just reach out to me personally on social media. I am the Rich Brooks just about everywhere and most active on LinkedIn, and I'll follow up with you personally. I just got back from Content Jam in Chicago, a marketing conference put on by my good friend Andy Crestadina. I brought my coworker Izzy Seidman, and that's because she's doing most of the SEO copywriting and other content creation right now for ourselves as well as for our clients, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for her. I can't believe I've never been to Content Jam before. It was a one-day, single-track event filled with powerful ideas and engaging speakers. I personally came away with a lot of ideas on how we can bring some of their ideas back to our own Agents of Change conference. If you've been following along, we took a hiatus this year from our in-person event, in part to give more attention to integrating AI into our offerings here at Flight New Media. But I miss putting on a live event, and I'm hoping to bring the conference back next year in 2026. The issue is, it's a big lift for our small team. But watching how Andy put on the event, limiting it to 100 people, single track, well-aligned content, showed me how we may want to reinvent the conference for next year. So stay tuned. All the speakers at his event were great. Andy, Nancy Harhut, Chris Penn, and Brian Massey. But it was Jessica Best that really spoke to Izzy and me, as Jessica was talking about email marketing. We were just so inspired by her talk, and I realized that where we used to focus so much on email marketing, we've definitely de-emphasized it for both ourselves, for Agents of Change, and for our clients over the past decade or so. We realized that was a mistake, and we got so excited about all we could do for our clients when it comes to lead nurturing and improving customer lifetime value via email marketing. We were already planning our new approach on the flight home, which is perfect timing because beyond just creating content, there's a lot of practical considerations for email marketing, and that's where today's episode comes in. We'll be looking at all the features and benefits your small business needs to consider when choosing an email service provider and how to improve your deliverability. Because if nobody sees your amazing message, have you really done anything? This is so critical to your bottom line and your success, so let's get to it. Pitter patter. My next guest is the brains behind Email Tool Tester, an expert in all things email marketing. Over the last 15 years, he's navigated both the enterprise and small business sides of email marketing. His company has made it into the Financial Times list of the fastest growing companies in Europe 2 times in a row. Tool Tester HQ is based in Barcelona, where he works alongside his team of 10 employees. Today, we're going to be talking about ESPs, email service providers, and how to make sure your ESP is the right one for your digital marketing needs with Robert Brandl. Robert, welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, Rich. I'm really excited to be back. Well, it's actually the first time on the podcast. We have met at the virtual summits, but not the podcast yet.
For some reason, I didn't realize that you had never been on the podcast and you were only on the show. Well, that's good to know. So welcome for the first time to the Agents of Change podcast.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about your journey and how you became an expert in email marketing and founded Email Tool Tester.
The journey began in 2006 already, so it's been a long time. That's when I worked for a digital marketing agency, and more specifically, it was email marketing. And there I mainly worked on the enterprise client side. So that's where I learned the ropes. And after that, after leaving the agency, I started an affiliate business, Tool Tester, which was mainly about website builders, e-commerce tools, that kind of stuff. But quickly after, I also dove into email marketing, and more this time not for enterprise email marketing, but for small business email marketing. That's really where my passion is, helping those small businesses getting started with email marketing. And that's how the journey began.
All right. So email marketing has been around for decades. I've been around for many decades, and I remember email marketing almost from the beginning when I started my agency. But it still remains one of the best digital marketing channels. Why do you think that is, considering all the new marketing channels that we currently have available to us?
I guess a lot of people, they saw social media and they thought, who needs email marketing? Let's just go on Facebook. Let's go. Well, there you already have it. Like, Facebook is not that relevant anymore, but email marketing still is. So I think often people, they went to other platforms like social media, or even SEOs now are coming back to email marketing, niche site owners, these kinds of people, because they realize that email is something you own, your email list, whereas the social media audience can be taken away from you quite easily. And I think that's how it came about, that email marketing is seeing that revival it's currently going through.
Yeah, I would agree. I think right alongside having your own website, having your own email list is one of the few places that you really seem to own a property and have absolute connection to your audience. So, great point. Now, when businesses are looking for an ESP, pricing is often a consideration, but not all ESPs have the same pricing structures. Can you explain to us a little bit about what are some of the different models that you see out there, and how can we determine which model might be best for our business?
Yeah, let's break it down a little bit. Let's start with the really nice pricing model, which is the free plan, which a lot of them, they have very attractive free plans. I mean, if you're just starting out, something like Kit, for example, they allow up to 10,000 subscribers, which is pretty amazing. Of course, with some limitations, you only have one automation workflow, and you have to opt into their recommendation network. That means if somebody signs up on your website, then they will be recommended other creators from the Kit network. It's maybe not everyone's cup of tea, but it is an interesting option. Like Kit, MailerLite, they have really interesting free plans. And then the standard model that almost all the ESPs use is pay per contact. So the bigger your contact list, the more you pay. And usually you have unlimited emails included. So that's really great if you're sending a ton of emails. So for example, MailChimp uses this model, ActiveCampaign, MailerLite, GetResponse, nearly all of them, they use this model. The only thing is, if you're not sending that many emails, like let's say you only send once or twice a month, then you might be paying too much. Or let's say if you only email a part of your audience, you're not always emailing the full audience, like only half of them, for example, then you might be paying too much. Then a pricing model, pay per email, might be actually more interesting for you. But there's only one provider I found that is using that model, and that is Bravo. So, for example, they charge you for 20,000 emails per month, something like $29. And that same amount, if you opt for 10,000 subscribers, for example, at MailChimp ActiveCampaign, you might end up several $100s for that same for the same amount of emails in the end that you're sending. So it makes a lot of sense to really carefully check how many emails am I going to send, how many contacts am I going to have, And I would take that into consideration. Another thing is my friends at MailChimp, they are very good at extracting money, not only by increasing prices almost every 2 weeks, but they are the only ones that charge you for inactive subscribers. So that is something to watch out for. Once
What
someone
are inactive subscribers? Are those people who have unsubscribed from our list, but we haven't necessarily called them yet?
Exactly. They have unsubscribed, they have bounced, have otherwise been blocked. MailChimp, they will keep on charging you for these contacts unless you archive them or you remove them. And basically, no other provider does this. So this is also an important consideration. With regards of pricing models, there's another pricing model which is not very well known, which is pay as you go. It's particularly good if you're not sending much, like you're only sending every 2 months, for example. The thing is, I wouldn't really recommend sending in such a frequency, only every 2 months, 4 times a year, because then you cannot build a good sender reputation, and that might affect your deliverability negatively. So I would aim for at least sending once a month so you can establish a good sender reputation. But yeah, back to pricing. So basically, you have pay per contact, pay per email, and I think that's where you should make a choice.
All right, sounds good. And so basically what we need to do, like you were saying, is assess our own email needs where we are right now as a business, and that can help us decide which one might be better for us, at least from a cost standpoint. A couple of things I want to ask you about. One is about the model for Kit, and I'm not familiar with Kit, but it sounds like if I sign up for somebody's email through Kit, I'm going to automatically be added to other lists that might be relevant for me, whether I sign up for them or not. Is that what I'm hearing? Because one of the things I've noticed in the past few months is I'm getting all of these emails that I don't remember subscribing to. And when I go to the unsubscribe button, everything seems to be on Beehive. Do they have a similar model?
Yes. These are it's the new generation of creator tools, and they have some, let's call them unorthodox growth models. Yeah, I also want to mention that Kit was not always Kit. It used to be ConvertKit, just in case you're wondering what the hell is Kit. So yeah, these are these new creator tools, and they're very good if you want to establish a paid newsletter, for example, or a newsletter that you monetize in any way. And for that reason, they have this recommendation network, like it's called like that at Kit. And then when somebody signs up for your newsletter, they are given a choice of signing up for other newsletters. They don't have to. So it's optional. But very often it looks like you have to click that button in order to proceed, but then you're being subscribed to all these newsletters. So I'm doubtful about the quality of all these subscriptions. They are probably not always good, but I also do think that it can be a growth model if you find the right partners in your space and work together with them.
I think you're being generous with the term unorthodox, but I'm going to let that one slide. I will say I see the benefit for a platform like that from the creator standpoint. I don't think it's so great from the subscriber standpoint, because I find myself spending more time than I want to unsubscribing from lists that I am pretty sure I never signed up for, but we'll kind of let it go at that. Price is obviously a driving factor when it comes to our email marketing, but I would hate to just go for the cheapest option if deliverability was poorer. Is there any real difference between the major players out there when it comes to ESPs about deliverability? Do you have any that you find are just better at delivering emails, or are they kind of all at the same level and that's not the biggest factor?
It's a very good and also relatively complicated question, because at Email Tool Test, we're kind of famous for our deliverability tests that we ran twice a year. And we sent a couple of hundred emails and checked how they place in the inboxes, whether they go to spam or inbox. And the thing is that last year, there was this change, Yahoo and Gmail, and how they changed the sender requirements. And one of the main changes was it's now much more your responsibility to build up a good sender reputation through your sender domain. That means the ESP has less influence over deliverability than it used to have. Still, they need to provide a good IP address that they're sending from, and that all the main ESPs, you can be sure of that they will give you an IP address that is not blacklisted, because that would be terrible. The thing is, there are still differences, but for us, we've actually stopped these deliverability tests because we couldn't get results anymore that made sense. So there are still differences, but I wouldn't overestimate the influence of the ESP. I would look out for things like, do they keep spammers off the platform? And usually a good indicator is if a lot of people are complaining online that MailerLite didn't accept me as a customer, or Brevo shut down my account. Usually, which it doesn't sound good, but in fact, it's a good sign, because I've heard several of these stories, and usually people were just spamming. That's why they shut them down. And if the ESPs do their homework, that's great news, because that means they will keep the spammers out, and because you're sharing the IP address, the sending IP address with other clients, you want to make sure these are good clients and not spammers.
You mentioned, I know we're talking mostly about ESPs today, but you said that one of the biggest factors on deliverability is sender reputation. You also mentioned that we should be sending at least once a month to improve or keep up our sender reputation. Are there any other things that we as marketers or business owners can do to have good sender reputation so that our emails end up where they're supposed to be?
I mean, the main thing to consider is that it's important that people actually want to receive your emails. If you are sending emails that they are not opening, they don't click the links in the emails, then that's a pretty bad sign. And the mailbox providers like Gmail, Yahoo, they will see that they will realize that your emails, like, pretty quickly they delete them, sometimes without even opening them. And if that happens too much, they will eventually move them into the spam folder. So there are some tricks you can use. For example, you can add in your newsletter, you can add a little sentence like, what are you currently struggling with? Just shoot me an email and let me know, to establish a dialogue with your subscribers. And that will help your deliverability, because the mailbox providers see that, oh, okay, they are talking to each other. That's a good sign. Or get them to forward your emails to a friend. That's possibly even a better sign, because your email is important enough to be forwarded to someone else. So there are all these little tips and tricks that you can use to get better deliverability. The other thing is also if you're already seeing problems with your deliverability, you can also use double opt-in, for example, where where an email gets sent to be confirmed, and unless the recipient confirms, they won't be added to the list. That is also something that can improve your deliverability. Of course, if you don't have any deliverability issues, then you may not need to use it. That's really, up to you.
All right. So I'm wondering, I know that a number of these ESPs have tools built in where you can see if somebody hasn't opened up your email in 6 months or whatever the timeline is, or haven't clicked on a link, that you can actually either send those people a special message that said, are you still interested in getting this email? If so, hit reply or click this button. And if not, you remove them automatically. Is that another way that you might kind of protect yourself from basically getting the Gmails and Outlooks out there to look unfavorably on your email sending or your sender reputation?
That's a very good point, especially if you're not using double opt-in. You're gonna get the odd spam sign up. Well, usually you're getting plenty of them, I think. If you're not using double opt-in, at least you should use a captcha in your sign up form. That's a little tip. And yes, you should have a so-called sunset flow, where you, after a certain period, that depends really on each business. It can be after 3 months, it can be after 6 months of them not interacting with your emails at all, not opening, not clicking, that you send them a final email asking them to reconfirm the subscription. If they don't click the link, then you just remove them, and then you should see your open rates and click rates improve over time if you're doing this on a regular basis.
I love that sunset flow. Definitely going to work that into some conversations around the office. getting back to choosing the right ESP, what are some of the essential features these days that small to medium-sized businesses, SMBs, should look for in an email provider?
A very important feature, of course, is automations. That's always something I would look at because there are sometimes big differences. Most of the ESPs, they have these nice workflow charts, like where you can set up the automation in a nice visual way. But they differ in a lot of ways that you have, like to start automations, you have limited amounts of triggers with some ESPs. So if you want really well advanced automations, Active Campaign is, for example, a good one. Get Response is very strong with automations. What they do, and that's a very important feature that I think most of the small business email marketing services don't have, is website tracking. That means the ESP gives you a tracking code that you put on your website, which allows you to track the behavior of your subscribers on your website. So when they can identify them, they will track what pages they visited. And then based on that, you can run an automation. For example, somebody went to your pricing page but didn't purchase. And then one day later, you send them an automated email like, do you need help with selecting a suitable pricing plan, for example? So that is really powerful. And I would really, if you're into automations, I would really look for this website tracking feature, for example.
Yeah, I can see how powerful that would be. I think a lot of people don't think about marketing automation unless they're in e-commerce. So for those e-commerce listeners out there, what are the key features or automations that they should be looking for in an ESP?
In terms of key features for e-commerce, I would say that integrations is super important. Like if you use Shopify, WooCommerce, whatever, you want the ESP to integrate really well into your shop, in your e-commerce platform. Otherwise, it's not going to be much fun. And because there's Omnisend as an ESP and Klaviyo, they have really good integrations into the main e-commerce platforms. For that reason, I wouldn't look so much at the rest of at the non-e-commerce specialized ESPs, but rather really go to Klaviyo and Omnisend, because these two are really good for e-commerce. Active Campaign also has a very good e-commerce integration, especially with Shopify. But in this case, yeah, it's really important to look at the integration that just works. And then, of course, the e-commerce ESPs, they have very specialized automations that are very geared to e-commerce, and you can add products very easily because they pull them from your store. And yeah, these are things that I would look at as an e-commerce business.
All right. Now, some platforms I know offer powerful automation and CRM features. For SMBs that may not be sure if they need these, what are the ones that are most important in your mind? Or what are some of the ways that we should know that it's time for me to start considering an ESP that has CRM features built in?
It depends a bit. I mean, many businesses, they already have a CRM. Then I would look at the integration, that there's a good integration with the ESP. If you don't have a CRM, but I guess businesses, they will have a feeling if they need a CRM because they have trouble organizing their customer data. If that's the case, I think and you don't have an ESP yet, then it's a good idea to find an ESP that has a good CRM integrated already. There are some good options, like Active Campaign comes to mind again, which is on the expensive side. There's HubSpot, of course, which is even more expensive and complicated. But there is also Bravo that has a CRM feature. It's tiny compared to Active Campaign or HubSpot, but like for smaller businesses, it can still do the job and of organizing your contact data, so that you can also manage pipelines and sales processes through this CRM. So I think for that it's really useful.
All right. Now, the idea of moving from one ESP to another can feel challenging, even overwhelming sometimes with everything that we have else going on in our business. What are some common pitfalls that we should avoid when switching from one ESP to another? And does switching affect our deliverability? Does it impact our sender reputation?
It's most likely will impact your deliverability for a short period of time because you're going to have a new sending IP address, and that change might cause some turbulence, but it shouldn't be something long term. So you'll probably see your open rate dip. The thing is also the new ASP might calculate your open rates slightly differently. So there might be a difference already by the calculation itself. But in the long run, it shouldn't, because the good thing is you're taking your sender reputation with you. So it's in the end, you're going to be just fine. Of course, switching from one ESP to another, depending on your setup, I mean, depends a bit on how many registration forms do you have on your website, how many tags do you have with your old ESP, how many automations do you have set up. It can be, sometimes can be quite a nightmare to replicate all that with your new ESP. There are some ESPs that help you, that have tools and automated services to move you from one to the next, or even have personal support. I think ActiveCampaign, they have personal migration support, and we actually used it once. But the thing is, I mean, you know your business best, and some support person at ActiveCampaign, they don't have the same insight. So in the end, it's still going to be manual work. But yeah, of course, it is going to be work, but I would still consider changing. If you're really unhappy with your ESP and they're just charging too much, then it can be worth the effort to switch.
All right. AI is everywhere. It's in everything. What are some of the new AI-powered features that we should be aware of?
The feature I like most, I'm not even sure if AI is part of it, to be honest. It's send time optimization, because we are sending like worldwide our emails, and it was always so hard to find a good time to send this email. And send time optimization will just look at when does a recipient usually open their email, and then just send it in a similar time than the email that was opened before. So I'm not even sure if it's AI, but that's a very useful feature indeed. In terms of real AI, I mean, of course, all of them, they have now in their email editors, there are some AI text assistants, but it's, I don't know. Personally, I still use ChatGPT. We also in the team, we use Google Docs to edit the content of the emails. So I wouldn't even write the email directly in the email marketing tool editor. I don't think that's the best idea. Of course, for subject lines, AI is wonderful, because that's where AI really shines. Headlines, subject lines, and they all have it integrated. But you can also use it in your AI tool of choice externally. And in our case, I mean, ChatGPT already knows our business, knows me, knows what I like. So it's going to be easier to get good results quickly with my personal AI tool. Other features are, well, ActiveCampaign, for example, they have a segmentation builder. So you can describe the segments that you want, more or less, or the same goes for automations. They have suggestions, AI suggestions for automations. And I mean, you can get inspired, and then by one click, they create a workflow for you, but it's more or less like a template. So I don't see the big AI impact in that yet. So yeah, but it's a bit gimmicky still, the AI in email marketing tools. So, but what I would really like to see is like more of a diagnostics, AI diagnostics, AI alerts, like if your deliverability drops for, let's say, Outlook, and well, probably also don't need AI for that, but that there's a warning like deliverability dropped for Outlook. You should check what's going on there. AI could maybe suggest solutions then, but that's still something that I haven't seen yet. It's just what I would like to see.
Sounds like a great tool, because I know that a lot of us are not necessarily looking at our email marketing reports with the same gusto that you are, Robert. So that would be a great tool to have it alert me that suddenly my Outlook deliverability has gone down, so that I know I need to look into that. This has been incredibly helpful. And if people want to learn more about you, Robert, more about Email Tool Tester, where can we send them?
Of course, to emailtooltester.com. What I have for your audience is a comparison template, ESP comparison template. It's a Google spreadsheet that lists the top 7 ESPs. So it possibly can save hours of work of your own research. So you just download that spreadsheet and check out the different criteria that are important for you. And there's even another tab in that spreadsheet where we list all the possible features that you could ever imagine from a ESP. And you can just tick what is important for you and send it back to us, and we'll analyze it and send some recommendations for you if that's of help. And you can find that on our website as well. And hopefully Rich can link it in the show notes.
I absolutely will. And I'm going to go check it out myself right after we finish this call. Robert, thank you so much, as always, for coming by and helping us out with our email service provider issues.
You're welcome. But Rich, before you go, I have one more question. What's the ESP you use? We don't know that yet.
We are currently using MailChimp. I say currently because we have been looking at some other options. We did look at ActiveCampaign. And if I'm being transparent, we actually pulled back from that in part because of the cost. So we're still on the hunt for whether or not MailChimp is going to continue to be our ESP going forward, or if we're going to be looking at other options. But I will be sure to use your cheat sheet to see which ones are probably the best for Flight and for the Agents of Change.
Awesome. Let me know how it goes.
All right. And then we'll have to have you back to talk about whether we made the right choice or not.
Oh, perfect. Yes, I would be glad to.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Rich. It was awesome.
Robert delivered a lot of value. And if you missed anything, we've got you covered. We've got the full transcript, the show notes, the links, even a blog post based on my conversation with Robert, all available for free at our website at theagentsofchange.com/581. There are few things as powerful as email marketing, which is why we're coming at it with fresh eyes and a re-energized spirit. If you are where we are, determine if you're on the right platform for your business, clean up your list, and start publishing to your audience at least once a month, because you are an agent of change.
Don't miss another thrilling episode of the Agents of Change podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform.